Running a farm in southwest Africa, the man must watch his fences. Outside the wire, the great cats hold sway, a continuous threat to the safety of his stock. Cheetahs, lions, leopards must all be kept at bay by regular checks of the wire. One weak place could cost the lives of valuable animals if the cats get through, and they are always there. A flock of goats belonging to an African tenant farmer has no defense against a visiting cheetah. Cattle, too, are a tempting sight to a hungry predator just on the other side of the wire. And the farmer dreads finding evidence that his defenses have been penetrated. Pug marks lead towards the fence where a gap has been made. And on the wire, the worst possible news: hairs from a lion. There is little the farmer can do. Block the hole, yes, but what about the killer? As he erects a temporary barrier, the farmer plans the next step, fearful for his cattle. His fears are soon justified. The carcass bears the unmistakable signature of a lion, and the predator is still at large somewhere on the farm. The immediate reaction of the farmer is to organize a hunting party. Somewhat gingerly, the trackers and their dogs follow the lion's trail through the early morning. But when they find him, the lion has already paid the penalty. The farmer poisoned the cow's carcass with strychnine. The lion revisited the kill and took his last meal. A silverback jackal watches quietly. If he finds the dead cow, the same fate will be his. But one farmer at least doesn't believe in poisoning any wild creature. His name is Ati Port. And gin traps under the cheetah's scratching trees now fill him with horror.
These are cruel, crippling things, man. They don't kill the animal, you know. I used to set them myself, but not anymore. It's quite simple how they work. You've got this pressure plate here, you see. Then when the cat puts his foot on it, so, and I tell you the results are terrible.
Ati's farm has become a convalescent centre for damaged cheetahs, some which he rescued himself, and others which were brought to him by his neighbours, crippled by traps or shotgun pellets. He set aside a large paddock in which they can recover their strength. But these are not pets. In the big paddock, the cats are left to themselves, and they retain their justified fear of man. Their life here is as natural as Ati can make it. The cheetahs in Ati's paddock have been involved in one of his schemes to help solve the cat problem. They react with curiosity as the plan gets underway.
My idea was to make a trap which would catch the cats without harming them. I tried several designs and then I settled for this one with the dropping doors. This lever here on the floor shuts the doors. We set the trial trap in another paddock so the other cats wouldn't get excited and all upset. For bait, I used a lamb carcass. You have to spread a bit of scent by the entrance, of course. Well, it worked. The cat didn't seem too upset about being caught. At any rate, he was cheeky enough to try and take the bait away. Of course, the next problem was to get him out of the trap. I sent one of my blokes round to the other side to attract his attention. Now, it's been my experience that if you get a cheetah by the tail, he won't do you much harm. He's too damn busy trying to make a run for it. We quickly put him into the bag. But boy, I tell you, he came out of that trap a bit faster than we expected. Okay, nog maar. Anyway, we got him bagged up in the end, but I had to think of a better way of handling the next one. We took him back to the big paddock and let him go. My men go along with all this, but they probably think I'm a bit crazy. Still, they like the challenge, I reckon. It's man's work handling these big chaps. Well, our experiment worked, and the cheetah didn't get hurt. So I decided to put a trap out on the farm, for real this time. The very next morning, my head man, Sandeep, came and told me that he'd heard something in the trap just before daybreak. I went back with him to have a look. When we got to the trap, we had a very nasty surprise.
Ati's workers had been making a travelling crate. And when he arrived at the trap, they'd already brought it up from the farm.
It was no cheetah in that cage, man, but a full-grown leopard. That's a different proposition entirely, I tell you. I wasn't very sure that the plan was going to hold for this customer. The leopard wasn't seriously hurt, although he'd bashed his nose about a bit on the trap walls, but he was certainly pretty lively. This time we wanted only the leopard's tail out of the cage. The rest of him could stay there until we were good and ready. Now my friend the local vet had given me some veterinary tranquilizer to make this cheetah business a bit safer. I hoped it was going to work for this leopard as well. The vet said it wouldn't make the animal go to sleep, but it should make them a bit quieter. Wait until he doesn't want to bite you anymore, he said. So I waited. Then I reckoned it was time to have a go. Well, he didn't bite me, so we fetched him out into the bag. I'd cut a hole in the corner for his tail. I can tell you, man, I was damn glad to see him safely roped up in that bag.
They took the leopard back to the farm in the holding cage. If Ati hadn't caught it, it would have raided his stock and might eventually have gone the way of the lion, put to death for innocent killing. Now at least it was alive and well. Back at the farm, the captive was transferred to a much larger cage to recover from the drug. For the next few months, the leopard was to lead a very unusual life. Ati Port, a farmer in southwest Africa, treats minor wounds on the face of a leopard he has just trapped alive. In a large paddock on Ati's farm are other big cats, mostly cheetahs, which he's received from his neighbors. They usually shoot the cats to protect their stocks, but Ati is trying to show them a better way.
I got jumped by a cheetah one day, and man, I had to fight for my life. The funny thing was, though, that instead of making me want to go on trapping and killing them, it gave me a new sort of understanding and respect for the animals. And I swore that I'd never kill or maim another big cat as long as I lived. I reckoned that they had a right to survive along with the rest of us. You won't get any thanks from a cheetah for saving him. They keep their affection for themselves. But at least you get the satisfaction of keeping these wild ones alive and free.
No one goes near the cheetahs on the farm. Ati's plan is to release them in the national park at Etosha, but they still need to retain their fear of man. After a few months in the paddock, they're fit and strong enough to be netted and moved to the park. They're not so easy to catch. One by one, Ati and his helpers get them under control and load them into the lorry to go to the park. Etosha is one of the largest national parks in the world, covering 18,000 square miles, an area roughly the size of Switzerland. The cheetahs have been given a clean bill of health, and Ati has permission to release them well inside the park. In the past, they were hunted for their skins, and when the park was established, they were rare there. Once in the park, the cheetahs are confronted with plenty of legitimate prey. Now all that remains is to get them out of the lorry and wish them luck and a long life. Getting the cheetahs out of the lorry is a tricky business. They're not tame by any means.
In the old days, when we brought a new kitten to the farm and we wanted to make sure he stayed there, my mother used to butter his paws before putting him down in the house for the first time. I reckon that if it could work for little pussycats, it should work for the big fellows as well, and keep them in the park.
The cheetah has a small wound on his foot, which Ati treats before they part company.
They've got to be in tip-top condition to get a decent living here.
The cheetahs have been reprieved, released into a new, safer life where their activities are not in conflict with those of man. There's food here, and now they are fit enough to catch it.
Well, there they go, and good luck to them. Now, what are we going to do about that leopard, eh?
The leopard was not in the least willing to cooperate. Getting it out of the cage proved a problem.
Kom nou. Come on.
Kom hier zo. Kom. Kom.
When it did decide to emerge, it came out with a rush
Ja, goed. Ich fahr nur das Auto rum.
and went straight into hiding. The nearest patch of shady cover was the lorry it had arrived in. For a time, leopard and men were thoroughly confused.
He's just coming by now.
Then it disappeared altogether. But Ati knew where it was. A final, somewhat ungrateful gesture, and the leopard departs to a new life. Ati Port doesn't claim to be a hero or a madman. He just rather see a leopard in a tree than hanging on someone's wall. It's in a cat's nature to kill. Some men find it in theirs to grant a reprieve.